In this lesson, we will convert some geometry to create the rest of the front fork. So the piece that we're going to create here is going to be this piece coming down on the side, connecting in with the center of the wheel, what will be the wheel. So the first thing I want to do is I want to actually use polygons, and this piece, which we want to match to, is actually NURBS. And so what we can do is actually convert this. So if I go to modify, convert, you can see that we have a lot of different options for converting one type of geometry to another type of geometry. In this case, we want to go from NURBS to polygons. We can go into the options. Okay, you can see that we have a number of different tessellation methods. So tessellation is kind of how it's going to take that piece of NURBS geometry and tessellate it into a variety of different polygons. So you can see we can choose to tessellate it into triangles or quads. We could use a general tessellation method, and you can see we have options for the U and the V as far as the number goes. I'm going to just do the control points and tessellate it. And now we get this sort of a piece. Now it's very low resolution, so I'm going to actually add a smooth to that. Okay. And now what I want to do is actually just use some of these polygons down here. So I'm going to go ahead and let's actually add on our smooth node, let's actually add one more division in there. Okay, so we get something fairly smooth. And then I want to select a few of these polygons. So let's select 4. Now I want to just pull those out from this larger piece. So I'm going to go ahead and extract. Now if we go into the options, you can see that we have an option for separate extracted faces. We'll go ahead and extract that. Okay, you can see I can actually pull those out along the normal if I want to. And so I've pulled those pieces out, and they're actually separate. So if I want to now select that rest of those polygons, I can get rid of those. Now I want to add some thickness back to this, so I'll go ahead and extrude and push it back in towards the surface. It's okay if it interpenetrates a little bit. Okay, so now we have this piece of geometry to work with. Now I want to create a curve. So let's go ahead and create a CV curve. We'll start from this polygon that we just added, and we'll draw our curve up kind of along the corner there. Alright. Now I want to go ahead and center that, and let's move it over. And let's actually show NURBS curves, that would help. Move it over so that we can see it here. Okay, and I want to take the CVs and move them back into the piece of geometry there, so it kind of tapers in. Now what we can do is select our faces on this side, okay, and then shift select the curve. Now if we go to extrude, we'll actually extrude along that particular curve. So you can see that right now it's gone all the way out there. If we go into our extrude in the channel box, find our poly extrude, come down to the bottom, we can see that we have an option for taper. And right now the taper doesn't really do much. You can see it tapers down, but we don't get the curve that we want. So I want to add some divisions in there. Now you can see it's following along with that curve a bit better. So we'll add maybe 6 divisions and then go in and modify our taper so that we get something that matches with what we have here. Okay. Now the whole thing, once we get it tapered down, we can go ahead and delete our history on that. Let's center our pivot. And then before we continue, we can modify this. So it looks like it needs to be maybe a bit larger to match up with the shape that we've got there. Okay. We can move it out of the surface a bit more. So it's kind of right on the side. Now we need to finish the rest of it. So we can use curves once again, or we can just manually extrude here. So you can see we just have a kind of a straight line here, and then it turns. So we can go ahead and extrude, pull that out. We can change our pivot if we want to come straight out. Okay, and move that down here. Now at this point, we're going to have a change of direction, so hit extrude again. This time we want to go straight forward in the Z, so we'll change the axis and go straight forward in the Z. Okay, we can come in now and move these points around so that we get what we want. I want to take these points here and rotate them, scale them up a bit. Okay, we can scale these up a bit. And now if we want to add a little bit of resolution in here, because when we smooth this, it's going to be very soft here. And so what do? When we want to tighten up the corner, we'll add a few edges. So we'll use the Insert Edge Loop tool. And I want to put them further away from the center because it's not a real tight edge there. It's actually a fairly soft turn. And so you can see putting those beside there matches that up a little bit better. Okay, now on the ends, if we want to tighten this up so it's not just round like that, again an edge loop right on the end will sort of do the trick. Okay, and then we get this sort of hockey stick kind of a look. Now if we want to add a little bit of detail on the end here, we can select these faces, we can extrude, and we don't have to pull them out when we extrude. We can create that little loop there by just scaling in a bit. Okay. And then let's extrude again. And we'll pull straight out just a little because we want to have a kind of a sharp line there. One more time. And then when we smooth it, that gives us that little piece that sticks out there. All right. If you want to come in and modify some of these points, if you've got something that is, it's not quite smooth enough, you can do that. Just be aware of the changes in the shape that you're making. So, you don't want to get any strange dents or anything like that, but you can just come in, kind of just smooth it out just a little bit. All right. Now we looked at earlier mirroring this over to the other side, or mirroring pieces over to the other side. Let's go ahead and freeze our transforms. Okay. Now we looked at grouping and then copying that over to the other side. We can also, if we hit insert, remember we can move our pivot, and so I can snap the pivot using X. I can snap it to the grid, and so I can snap it right down there to the origin. Hit insert again, and now let's take a look at our transforms. If we duplicate this, scale it -1 in the X, we get a mirror image. Okay. The problem is it has a negative transform on it. So let's go ahead and freeze this. So we'll freeze the transforms on the copy. Now let's take a look at something. If we go into lighting and turn off our two-sided lighting, you can see that actually one of these, in this case it was actually this one, is it has the normals reversed from when we built it because of the way that we extracted that out and extruded it. Okay. In some cases, the one that you copy will be extrude because you can see in this case, it's actually the good one because it sets that value inverse. So for a polygon, to fix that, you'd go to normals and just go to reverse normals. Now you can see that some of our NURBS objects actually are reversed as well. Now you're not going to reverse normals on the NURBS objects. You're going to go to surfaces, edit NURBS, and you want to reverse the surface direction. Same thing here. So keep that in mind when you're mirroring objects like that or copying them over using that method, that you can go and check your normals and your surface direction and change that up. So fix that. Fix this one. All right, so that's just something to be aware of. So now that we've got the front fork finished, let's go ahead and now start to build the wheels. So we'll start that process in the next lesson.